Now, I do, before I dive deep into this game, I do want to dive deep into the emotions of this game because this was a very emotional game for us Celtics fans, and of course for the return of Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart, this was his first time in his, I believe, 11-year NBA career that he's ever faced the Boston Celtics. He's ever been in that opponent's locker room, at least in a uniform. He came here last year, but did not dress due to his unfortunate injuries that kept him out both matchups last year, even the one back in Memphis towards the start of the regular season. But comes in, dresses, coming off an ankle injury this morning, says the ankle feels great. Then gets into a collision at shoot around this morning, bangs his head, gets a laceration above his right eyelid, and says that won't really affect him tonight. Shot 1 of 11, did play tonight. But what did we like about this game from Marcus Smart? It was so nice to see him back. So nice to really see him active because ever since he's left Boston, so ever since we traded him away, he's been through a tremendous amount of injuries between his wrist and his ankle, and you saw a much more durable Marcus Smart in Boston, but since then, Franco, he's been all banged up. So it was really nice, despite us losing and him beating us tonight. It was really nice to see Marcus back on that court.
I think it was a much more touching last year when he came back. He was on the bench. We didn't have to worry about him. And
video tribute.
Yeah, the video tribute was there.
Neutral last year.
That was yes. We didn't have to. We weren't booing or didn't have to decide how we felt when he made a shot.
Yeah,
he didn't make that many tonight. So I think that the celebration, the ceremonies were over tonight. We got to see him get into the role of being that sixth man for the Memphis Grizzlies. He did a good job for them, and he was a effort player, as we know from watching him in the Celtics tenure. He is a player who brings a lot of energy to the court, brings a lot of defensive matchups. He was matched up against Tatum. He was matched up against Brown. I think that he was calling for that, especially when he walked onto the court, because those are his boys. Of course, you're going to try to match up against the guys that you played with for over 5 years. And I think that it was good to get it out of the way, but it's not good that he got the final laugh on us in Boston.
For real. I mean, he shot 1 of 11 tonight. Not a great stat line whatsoever. But of course, I think he would rather, knowing Marcus Smart while he was with the Celtics, he would rather have his team win than him shoot well and put up stats. That's always been the demeanor of Marcus Smart. We've seen it here in Boston for nearly a decade, 9 years with the Celtics, 9 seasons. He comes back tonight, and I thought he was playing pretty hard out there. And it just felt weird that he was on another team playing on the floor against all of his former teammates, because it's almost like it flashes back in your mind all of the memories of Marcus Smart in a Celtics uniform out on the Garden floor with Jason Tatum, with Jaylen Brown, with Derek White. Of course, Drew Holiday and Porzingis, they were not there with him, but even Peyton Pritchard, he was there with Marcus Smart as well. And you just think about all those guys together on the bench and out on the court, and now they're playing against each other. And it was almost like some kind of weird, just alternate universe that we were living in tonight in terms of watching Marcus Smart play with another team out there. But Marcus Smart, he's going to be a crucial factor for this Grizzlies team later on in the season, because Franco, you mentioned it, he is their sixth man. He came in as their sixth man tonight, did not shoot well at all, but he is sort of that energy guy off the bench that they need to come in. And when he plays well, the Grizzlies, you can tell they're at another level when he plays well. They have, as of late, the Grizzlies, they've been on kind of a roll. You don't want to give it to them in terms of the whole team of the Memphis Grizzlies and not just Marcus Smart. They've been on a roll as of late, and they certainly brought it to the Celtics tonight. Now, Marcus Smart did not have the greatest of nights at all, but we know how many other areas of the game he impacts, and you can tell he does that same thing for the Memphis Grizzlies. However, you can also tell, Justin, I think you're going to touch on this too, where maybe looks a little different than when he was in Boston. Maybe looks a step slower. Maybe looks a little bit bigger in terms of his shape, his size. Now, I want to say did go through a lot of injuries, did go through a lot of moments in which he was just sitting out with injury last year, and that can definitely affect things. And also the Memphis Grizzlies were not competitive at all last year. I would think if you're a player in the NBA, you have more of a motivation to actually be in shape. If you're on a
Yep.
competitive team every single night, you want to compete versus, this team is going nowhere. I'm dealing with injuries. I'm sitting on the bench. Marcus Smart, I think it's safe to say, maybe a little less athletic than 2 years ago with the Celtics, even 3 years ago with the Celtics. But with the Grizzlies competing how they are now, you can see how they played tonight, how tough they played the Celtics. I really do believe the Grizzlies were the tougher team tonight between the Celtics and the Grizzlies. Marcus Smart, he's going to be a big part of their rotation, and I I picked him for the Hustle Award this year. I don't know how great that's looking right now because of how he started the season, but Marcus Smart, he's still one of the top hustlers in the entire NBA, and I think he definitely fits this Grizzlies team like a glove in terms of his grit and grind.
Marcus Smart spent 9 years with this Boston Celtics team, been to the conference finals 5 times with this team, and made the NBA playoffs every single year. There was not a year where Marcus Smart was with this team where the Celtics did not make the playoffs. He is truly what embodies winning. He's truly what embodies what being a Boston Celtic is all about. And although he did not win an NBA title for this franchise, he certainly had a lot to do with the title that we brought home just a few months ago in June. So, I think we all hats off to Marcus Smart. Hats off to Marcus Smart. I mean, absolutely a tremendous career with the Boston Celtics. Career with the Boston Celtics might not be over. Maybe we see before Marcus Smart retires. Maybe it's not a 1-year deal with us. You never know what the future
On
holds.
that minimum.
Forever grateful for Marcus Smart. And I will say this, and I might not compare the skill type to Kevin Garnett, but I do want to kind of make the comparison for the Celtics fans who are younger than us who missed out on the Kevin Garnett days. Marcus Smart, intensity wise, leadership wise, wanting to win wise, body on the line, blood, sweat, and tears on the line. He is as close to what you would get from Kevin Garnett. I remember Marcus Smart's rookie year, and I remember this play. This was one of my favorite Marcus Smart plays to this day. Celtics had recently, just about a year or two prior to that, getting Marcus Smart, had traded away Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce in that Brooklyn Nets trade. So Celtics and Nets on the Garden Parquet. Loose ball. Marcus Smart goes flying on the ground for it. Who else goes flying on the ground for it? It's Kevin Garnett. Nearly 35, 36-year-old Kevin Garnett goes diving on the floor for the loose ball. Marcus Smart dives on it, gets it, throws the pass up ahead. Jeff Green slams it down for 2. And down on the other end, when Jeff Green was finishing that dunk, it was Kevin Garnett helping Marcus Smart up, hitting him on the back, saying, good job, recognizing game. And I feel like that, I still get chills watching that. I still go back and watch that every now and then, and I get chills because to me, it's like passing the torch. And that's exactly what it was. The Kevin Garnett era in Boston was over, but Marcus Smart, mini Kevin Garnett, came in, and he just truly, like I just mentioned a couple minutes ago, just truly embodies what it means to be a Boston Celtic. So, from the bottom of my personal heart, the bottom of all 3 of our hearts, thank you, Marcus Smart, for all you have done here in Boston, the community, both on and off the court. You've given everything and more to this city of Boston, and we just truly cannot tell you how much we love and appreciate you. We love and we trust you, and we're hoping that at some point in your career that you find your way back here in Boston and help us raise banner. Hopefully, we'll be past banner
20?
number 19, unless you come back before the deadline. But truly want to, even though you technically were not on the roster last year, definitely want to give props to Marcus Smart.
Can we get him a ring, please?
I
know it's kind of let's look down upon in terms of giving other players who aren't on your team rings
and
other
Boogie
people
Cousins
rings,
got
but
a ring for that 2020 Lakers team. You can't give him. You're not going to give Marcus Smart. Come on.
Well, to me, it's come on. He was here 9 years. He was really. If you don't have Marcus Smart, who are you trading away to get Porzingis?
Malcolm
Who
Brogdon.
is it? Because
they didn't want
partially
Brogdon at first.
the transaction in order to get Porzingis, the last piece of the puzzle here in Boston, was Marcus Smart. And I know people say, well, we were trading somebody away to get somebody better so that we could go and win the championship, and Marcus Smart couldn't get it done. But he was
He
here
was
for
hard.
9 seasons, made a finals run with the team, and that 22 finals. It's just great that we made the finals that year
Yeah.
because that team was 500, below 500. They were
Historic.
3 games below 500
They
on
were
January 6th,
21 and
2021, or
24. Yep.
2022 rather.
Yep.
Yet it still stings losing to the Warriors the way we did because we were right there. We were right there. We were almost up 3-1. Curry goes insane. Smart almost won his ring at that moment. Who knows if we win a ring there? Is Marcus Smart still on the roster as of today? We don't have no idea. But Marcus Smart, for what he did with the Boston Celtics for 9 seasons, he saw. I mean, he really. I don't even want to say saw or witnessed. He survived multiple iterations of the Boston Celtics. You think of the first iteration of the Brad Stevens rebuilding era. His rookie year was the Isaiah Thomas year in which we traded for Isaiah Thomas. If I'm not mistaken, Rajon Rondo was on the
Was still
roster
on the
when
team,
Marcus Smart. He started on the
Yeah.
roster when
Rondo.
not started in the lineup, but when he was
He was
drafted to
on.
the
Yeah.
Celtics, Rajon Rondo was on the
Was on.
roster, and everyone looked at that move and went, "Oh, okay, the Celtics just drafted a point guard, 6th overall. Rajon Rondo is probably gone." And by December, Rajon Rondo was gone. Traded him to the Dallas Mavericks, who, of
Yeah,
course, are still linked with the Dallas Mavericks.
Steph Curry. He turned into Steph Curry in his return game. Do you remember that? He hit like 6 or 7 threes in his return game to Boston.
Oh my
Rajon
God. The
Rondo.
Rajon Rondo saga deserves its own history book on this program. But in terms of Marcus Smart surviving all the iterations of the Celtics, he's with the
Yeah.
Isaiah Thomas Celtics. Well, really the Rajon Rondo Celtics at first, turns into the
Yeah.
Isaiah Thomas Celtics at that year's deadline, the 2014-15 deadline. The next year, that portion from 15, 16, 16, 17, those teams are pretty well the same, minus Evan Turner. In the back half of the 2014-15 season, he's with those Celtics right there. Then he's with the Kyrie Irving Celtics, 17, 18, 18,
Kemba.
19. We, of course, go and trade for Kyrie Irving, sign Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward, unfortunate injury, turns the entire history of the Celtics upside down, and even the history of Jason Tatum. Again, another player who deserves a whole history book on this program as well. But he's with those Celtics. Then he's with the Brown and Tatum Celtics, which at first 1920, 2021. That's really the first 2 years, Brown and Tatum. And really, I should say the Kemba Walker Celtics in a sense, because Kemba Walker was here. He's backing up Kemba Walker. He's here those 2 seasons. Walker is here. Brown and Tatum really start taking over the team as the stars. And then, of course, Kemba Walker, we ship him out, bring Al Horford back into the equation. And really, those 2 seasons, 21, 22, and 22, 23, those are really some of the same Celtics from season to season. Now, Marcus Smart, no longer with the Celtics. He's kind of the bridge to the next iteration of the Celtics, which is now 23, 24, now 24, 25. These rosters are sort of the same. Usually the Celtics and every other NBA team, they now have a shelf life of about 2 years within how they look. But Marcus Smart, thinking about it, what he survived 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 iterations of the Celtics. That's pretty impressive for. I would think a lot of people classify Marcus Smart as a role player. He never really made an All-Star team. Did win never made an All-Star team. Not really made an All-Star team. He never made an All-Star team, but he won Defensive Player of the Year. Yet still a role player, still a sixth man, and yet he's on 5 different iterations of the Boston Celtics. There is something to be said about that entirely, and it stings that he was never able to win a ring with the Celtics and that the Celtics won a ring the season after Marcus Smart departed. But Marcus Smart was a huge, huge beam in the bridge that led the Celtics to the title last year. And if there's any player that doesn't play for a specific team that deserves a ring from that team, it's Marcus Smart deserving a ring from the Boston Celtics from last year, because he had so much to do with that championship team. And although he didn't play that season, the history book before that, 9 seasons, it's all there in black and white. Marcus Smart, and you said it perfectly, Justin. He was like that generation's Kevin Garnett. He really was.
I also want to mention, like, you look at Celtics history and the rich history that we have, and some of the greatest, not only players of all time, but some of the greatest plays of all time. Obviously, Havlicek stole the ball. Obviously, Bird on the kick to DJ, Paul Pierce, and then obviously you see this Marcus Smart play where the Celtics were down by as much as 26. Honestly, one of the greatest comebacks in recent Celtics franchise history against the Houston Rockets, I believe 2018.
Yep.
It was December 2017. Yeah.
Draws 2 offensive fouls on James Harden on the inbounds pass. Celtics came back and won that game. Now
I
you
believe that
say
was 7 years ago this month. 7 years ago.
Unbelievable. Also, shout out Al Horford, because in the previous season, Al Horford missed a layup in Houston, and then that game he hit a clinching layup. But it's just plays like that. Marcus Smart, and I understand. He shot 1 of 11 tonight, and he had quite a bit of those shooting performances in Boston. Yes. But ultimately,
so on brand.
In these types of games, especially a close game tonight, that if Marcus Smart is on your side, it's good shot you're going to win that ball game just off his grittiness, his defensive schemes, and just his willingness to win and put his body on the line. So again, I mean, the utmost respect to Marcus Smart. He could beat us every season, and I'll just still have the same amount of respect for him. He's just a tremendous player in this league, and just a joy to watch.
Yeah, I think that we were able to see that, and I mean, if it comes down to a final and he beats us, then we'll be a little bit upset.
Yeah, but I mean, regular season.
Yeah, if he let him have his shine tonight, we give him all of his flowers, and I think he has been a really big transitional piece to the Celtics team, because we're starting to see Peyton Pritchard, who we'll talk about later on in the show, has filled into that role that Marcus Smart has, and you can tell that his effect has lingered, and you see the impact that he has on players like Jaylen Brown, who's really kind of became the captain once Marcus Smart was shipped out, and he's kind of taken the lead of being the player to lead by example on the court, being able to have those high intensity plays, and it's something that we needed to see the Celtics do a lot more of in tonight's game.
Absolutely. Just Marcus Smart has just been everything to this city, and I'm excited. I'm very excited to see Marcus Smart again, even though we'll be in Memphis next time. I'm not sure when that game rolls around. Last year, it was pretty early in the season we went to Memphis, but we'll definitely, hopefully, see Marcus Smart at least one more time this regular season.